Another high-end broadcast camera brand is now supported by SKAARHOJ, and this time it's covering virtually the entire Grass Valley camera lineup, past and present. And this is made possible by Grass Valley's CSS-ONE, a gateway that provides unified network access to Grass Valley cameras, including the LDX C135, which is a compact IP-native camera head built specifically for live broadcast production. And universal live production control is exactly what SKAARHOJ is known for. So this integration is a perfect match. Camera control through the gateway is handled using two of our most classic shading solutions. It could be the ColorFly multi-camera controller with motorized faders, or the RCP Pro featuring the world's most advanced joystick handle, or even a combo, as you'll see in this video. Diving straight in, let's try to pull the joystick handle off the RCP. And as expected, you'll see the iris open and closing on the camera. You also see the motorized fader follow along on the ColorFly panel here. So if I pull that, you'll see the same effect, although the joystick on the RCP doesn't follow along. Now, if you are a pro in this business, you sort of know what you tend to prefer. Usually, there is one RCP per camera in a setup, and these are lined up in a bay where somebody will be shading multiple cameras, having their hands on joysticks all over the place. If they press the joystick handle, they have a joystick override function, so they bring a source up on a monitor, and you can rest assured that with SKAARHOJ equipment, you do not only have a relay output on the RCP Pro, you also have IP accessibility to routers from Grass Valley themselves, Blackmagic Design, AJA, SWP08, all those router protocols that you can imagine can be controlled by any of these products, or you can use GPI out on the RCP Pro for that joystick override, which is also doubled on this button. Over here on the ColorFly, we would have multiple cameras with a selection down here. Unfortunately, we have only one camera today, so I can only show you one, but you can easily imagine that these faders are gonna populate with iris control for additional cameras. So this is a very compact solution, very attractive for its size, while this one is the classic Pro solution. Okay, so we have the camera pointed over here, and we can obviously see that we have full lens control of it. We also have master black sitting on the ring here. So in a classic way, we can turn that and control the master black. And those settings are usually also duplicated in the menu. So I want to take you through what we find in that menu. But before I do so, let me just quickly note that on the CSS-ONE, there is a web UI, which gives a great overview of the parameters. So what you see in the UI here are the parameters of the camera. So as I am moving the joystick, you can see the value on top of the joystick is following along with the iris that you see in the UI here. If I change the ND filters, that is also reflected. So there is full duplex between these units. Whatever you see on your iPad in the UI on a screen as an overview is also replicated down on your tactile control. And tactile controls are so important in live production because you need to keep your eyes on the screen in front of you to see the effect of your changes. All right, so let's take a look at what is in the menu. So we have broken out those things, and on the home screen, which you can customize if you want in our UI, and that looks like this. Okay, so just quickly, this is the setup of these two units, and in fact, the ColorFly right now is talking to the CSS-ONE, and the RCP Pro is sharing that connection along with the ColorFly, actually. It's a technicality. They work in parallel. Anything we do over here is replicated here, is replicated here. So that's just a note that I wanted to throw in. But inside of this UI, on the configuration tab, it's possible to actually go in and change what you see on the home screen. So if we go to the RCP Pro right here, those settings that we see here that I could change if I pull them up here, they can be customized in this UI. Now let's leave that and focus down on the RCP. We already see that I am now pulling the red gain of the camera here, and I can also adjust the green and the blue, and I'm just doing that a little bit so that we can see the effect. If I press and hold, I'm also resetting these values back. Likewise, I can adjust red, green, and blue for the black in the image. Notice the color areas, how it's adjusted as I'm moving these parameters here. All right, so that's the home screen. You decide what you put there. If you go to the next one, you have exposure, and this is where, for instance, the iris value is actually duplicated in that display right there. We also have the ND filter over here. We have shutter mode set to global or rolling, depending on what you want. We have different sensitivity modes. Moving on to color, we have red, green, and blue gain, which were also on the home screen. So once again, that is a home screen where you have the most used features, whatever you choose. And then in the various menus, you have them grouped up by theme. So like in this case, we have the color temperature. And right now, we're actually not at 32 Kelvin. We're probably much more like at... wait, actually what I did right there is a feature on most SKAARHOJ products. If you press and encoder once, then you change into a mode where the parameters change by a factor of 10. If you press again, you get into fine tuning mode, and there we can fine tune our value up to, let's say, 5600 Kelvin, and that's where we are right now. All right, so we can move on to this value here, the contrast menu. We have contrast settings. Moving on to the black, we have black related settings. We can trigger an auto black. We can also adjust these settings. If you have Grass Valley cameras, you obviously will know what these are. Moving on a second page, we have knee. We can turn that on and off. We have gamma settings here. We have also the color matrix, and in the color matrix, we do adjust all the 6 dimensions that we have: red, green, red, blue, etc. Sitting right here, we can change the color gamut of the camera as well. But obviously, we can pull in these handles, and if I press and hold, I'm resetting the values back. Now, actually, I want to just quickly go to our home page right here, and I want to reset these because it's a little more fun if we go into the matrix and we adjust values from more like a default state. So notice how the values in the color chart behind the logo are affected by pulling these knobs. Once again, you know, this is there's a lot of red right now. There's not a lot of red right now. So these things, again, thanks to the camera, and in the UI of the CSS-ONE, you can see these values reflected. So as I am turning the knob here, you also see the effect of the color matrix settings inside of that UI. Finally, there is the system menu, inside of which we have various settings that is related to the system in general, like you can disable color bars, you can also change video mode, or you can monitor it, etc. How is that mapped onto the ColorFly? So to give you a quick glimpse, there's likewise a menu like this, but we only have 4 encoders over here. So either we have removed some features, moved them around, excluded them. For instance, if you go through these menus on the ColorFly, you will see red and green and blue black, and red, green, and blue gain. So those were on the RCP Pro as well, but in this case, we have decided to exclude the color matrix. It's on the RCP Pro because we have more space for it. Over here, we estimated that for the average user, the user group in the target group for this product, it is very likely that they don't need access to that. Or if they do, there would be 2 menus available where you can map it in on these knobs if you actually wanted to do that. So that's how the difference is between the ColorFly and the RCP Pro, that the menu settings can be different. The master black is up here. You have the preview button here that would send a route to your joystick override function, the monitor in front of you. You have also ND filters you can actually set on these 2-way buttons, which you can press on the upper and lower edge to change values, etc. So there are many fancy features around this one. Now, maybe at the end of this video, we'll give it a shot to look at how could we customize things like that in the menu of the ColorFly. So we could choose a section like the camera adjustment section here, and now you can see how I can basically, if you look at what we see here, we have the I'm just clicking this one, and that was in the exposure to menu, which is where I am right now, this menu here, because as I'm moving around in this UI, you're also seeing changes on the ColorFly happening. So there you have black red, and that is mapped to this button right here. So if I wanted to change that, I could basically find another parameter over here. But I was also thinking, what if I want to fill in some of these? So I would just put in matrix, and now basically we are adding an additional menu to the RCP, and that's the blank canvas. So now that I have my matrix menu, I just want to put in a simple action here. So I'll just click this. I will create an empty behavior for my camera, and select the parameter, I want to automatically select the ID of the camera so that it will follow along with my camera selector. So I'll do that, and then I'll search up matrix here. So that would be controlling matrix on off. We submit this one, we'll automatically choose a behavior, and now you see that I have that setting right here, the matrix setting that apparently gave me these options. I thought it was an on-off thing, but what do I know? In a similar way, you can simply continue clicking this button. You can select a behavior that you would like to use. So picking a parameter from the camera, selecting the camera, typing in some search parameter for the stuff you're looking for, selecting that, mapping it onto the buttons. You can build up menus like that, and that's the essence of these products, that they have this software built in. The engine is in here. The UI you see comes straight out of the ColorFly or the RCP Pro. And by the way, it's possible to drag in control of Sony, Panasonic, Canon, PDC cameras. All kinds of things can be mixed and matched on these panels. So it's not just Grass Valley cameras, it's basically everything else that you can also imagine. Studio cameras, PDC cameras, POV cameras, they can all be mixed and matched on these amazing control panels. And that's what we are all about. And if you like this kind of content, I suggest you like and subscribe to this channel. You can sign up to follow us on social medias, Instagram, X, and Facebook. You can also subscribe to a newsletter we are running. And of course, you can reach out to our sales and support team, and they will always be happy to help you.